One magic element of sports is how a team made up of disparate personalities and nationalities can sometimes rise up out of nowhere and grab a community by the throat, and then take that community on a ride it never forgets. In 1993, that community was San Jose, and that team was the Sharks, who that season moved into their brand new downtown arena and turned a city of palm trees into a city of hockey converts. The man who led the conversion was a 26-year-old goalie from the unfamiliar country of Latvia, with the unfamiliar name of Arturs Irbe. But soon, everyone in the South Bay would not just know that name, they would be shouting it out in unison.
Arturs Irbe was the first icon as a player that Sharks fans ever had. The fans chanted his name, Irbe, Irbe. We had no player until he arrived that captured the imagination of the fans.
Born in the then Soviet Republic of Latvia in 1967, Irbe thrived in USSR hockey and goaltended for the country's 1990 World Championship team. But as the Soviet Union broke up, Irbe literally helped Latvia fight for its independence, which would free him to play anywhere in the world.
He basically was part of a group of Latvians who protected the government buildings and radio stations by being unarmed and barricading arm to arm to send a message that they weren't going to be, accept the invasion. He also at that time stepped down from the Russian national team, which took a great amount of conviction.
Once he was eligible for the NHL, Irbe was drafted by the Minnesota North Stars, and in turn was claimed by the Sharks in the 1991 expansion dispersal draft. Initially, Irbe split time between the Sharks and their minor league team, but he played 49 games for the Sharks during their first two expansion seasons and posted the franchise's first ever shutout as the team drew sellout crowds at the Cozy Cow Palace in Daly City. The Sharks lost 129 games in those two seasons, and no one knew exactly how a losing team would be received at the team's new arena with 7,000 additional seats to fill, until the Sharks caught fire and lost just 5 of their next 20 games, with the smallish 5'8" Latvian goalie lighting the match.
You have to remember that the year before, in year 2, the Sharks were 11-71-2. There wasn't a whole lot of winning, but they had 2 really good ties. There was a lot of losing, and all of a sudden the tide began to turn, and he was the focal player in that winning because that's such a focal position.
Arturs Irbe was one of the people that was sort of the underdog, the guy that was always under siege, and he was the one that was going to hold everything together. And that really got people in Silicon Valley who respect a lot of hard work and respect inspiration and respect ambition to really get behind the team.
Ultimately, that 93-94 Sharks team would surge to the biggest turnaround in NHL history, improving their record by 58 points over the previous season. And Irbe would have one of the most remarkable runs by any NHL goalie ever. He set a league record for minutes played in a season, lost just 28 of his 74 starts, and set a team record that still stands by facing 2,064 shots. He became the first Shark goaltender to make the All-Star game, and there were no more empty seats at the Shark Tank as the team stunned the hockey world by pushing toward its first playoff berth. Irbe was facing puck after puck fired at 90 miles per hour, but proclaimed that as the Sharks goalie, he must be like Wall. The phrase caught on in a big way. It also reflected his mentality.
He was competitive, a very proud man, very loyal man, and worked his tail off.
He'd make saves, he would never blame other people or make excuses, and I think everybody connected to this overachiever.
I think the phrase "like Wall" said it all. He just wanted to be that person that held everything together. He was the guy that was putting the finger in the dike when it looked like it was going to break, and he was able to keep his finger in there and keep the water from overcoming the dam.
As it turned out, Irbe found even more bricks to fortify his wall when the playoffs began. The Sharks faced Detroit, the top seed and Stanley Cup favorite, but San Jose shocked the NHL by upsetting the Red Wings in 7 hold-your-breath games, with Irbe defending his net relentlessly right through the clinching victory. Then it was directly on to Toronto for round 2, where the Sharks split the first 2 games as Irbe remained oddly calm amidst the frenzy.
Artie was always one of the last guys to get ready, and it was like legitimately 3 minutes before we had to go on the ice. Like, we're all on full gear, helmets on, everybody's nervous, there's tension, it's the first game, and Artie's still putting his pads on. We're like, Artie, like, we gotta be on the ice in 3 minutes. Like, we don't want to shorten. The goalie's the first guy to go on the ice. So it was Artie's clock, we lived by it, we knew it. It was a quirky thing, but it didn't matter because once the game started, once he was on the ice, he was in his element.
When Irbe led the Sharks onto the ice at the beginning of Game 3 in San Jose Arena exploded in celebration because it was the welcome home for a team that had pulled off one of the biggest upsets in hockey playoff history by beating Detroit. And Irbe leading the team onto the ice in that moment still ranks for me as the most spine-tingling moment in the history of this building.
The Sharks would take the Maple Leafs to the limit before losing the series in 7 games. Irbe played 2 more seasons in San Jose, ultimately winning 57 games before being traded to Dallas. In 2002, he would lead the Carolina Hurricanes to the Stanley Cup Finals. The same year, he proudly played for Latvia's first Olympic hockey team. He is currently the goalie coach of the Washington Capitals. But tonight, he becomes the first former Shark player to join the San Jose Sports Hall of Fame, in the same building where he and his teammates first ignited a passion for hockey in the South Bay that continues to this day.
From that team, there were some good players. Igor Larionov's in the Hockey Hall of Fame, but at the end of the day, it was like Wall, Arturs Irbe.
What he did for this organization should never be forgotten. The relationship with the fans. He's the little guy with the nondescript mask that came in here that just got it done with substance, not a lot of style.
During the Sharks' first 10 years of existence, no goalie won more games for the team than Arturs Irbe. In this, the franchise's 20th anniversary season, it is fitting that a man who did so much to build the foundation takes one more stride across the arena floor to be honored by the city that embraced him. Tonight, the Hall welcomes the Wall.